So good evening, everyone. Myself, Gayatri. I welcome you all on behalf of Varthana for this webinar series. So for this quarter, we'll be focusing on the theme called Fostering a Supportive and Inclusive Educational Ecosystem. And this seminar, we are particularly focusing on holistic education for thriving schools. So the agenda for today's session is we'll start with an introduction and we'll have a brief about what is the objective for today's session. Then we'll look into holistic education and importance. Then we'll also look at strategies for supportive school environment. Then we'll discuss about plan of action. We'll also have a Q&A and then we'll close with the feedback. So I'd encourage each and every participant to be very engaging in this session because it's going to be very helpful to your school as well as in your classroom. So let's get started and we'll start with an introduction now. I'll just launch a poll. This is to understand the participant profile. So I've just given a poll here. This is to understand the participant profile. Please select your profile. Thank you everyone again for joining the webinar. We'll get back to the session. So in today's session, we have three main objectives. The first one is to understand what is this holistic education and what its impact in students' performance. Second one, what are the ways to or what are the strategies that can help you to explore or build creativity, critical thinking, and life skill among the students. And third one is to develop an actionable plan for your school to implement the holistic education. So let's get started. So first, let's understand what is holistic education. So it's a very, very interesting and a broader concept. It's a learning approach that helps you to nurture the child wholly, basically intellectually, emotionally, socially, physically, ethically, by all means. Whereas in traditional method, if you see, we majorly focus on marks, or what rank they got, what is the score they got, purely about academics, right? Whereas here, it helps the child to get prepared for the future. It helps them to become a very responsible individual who can contribute positively to the society. Even NEP states that we must explore different strategy that helps to build hands-on learning and also make the education student-centered one. So let's also look at what are the key components of this holistic education. There are 5 key components. One is intellectual development. This approach helps the child to build the cognitive in a better way, to build the critical thinking skill, to build the problem solving skill. Secondly, it helps them to build their emotional intelligence, right? Like understanding about themselves or how to express emotion in a constructive way and how to show empathy. Third one, social development. It helps them to build the necessary social skills to get collaborated with others, to do a teamwork, or to feel the sense of community. For this physical development, this also focuses on their health and also helps them to build a very healthy habit to be physically fit. And finally, ethical development. This holistic education approach helps the child to understand what is the moral or value they hold to highest and how to have integrity, how to be responsible, and if there is any ethical dilemma, how to deal with it. So this is all about the holistic education and key components. Let's also explore what is this difference between traditional classroom and holistic education approach. So here we are going to discuss in different focus area. The first one is learning approach. So traditional classroom, you know, it's completely teacher center, right? Teacher teach a particular concept in one way and expects everyone to understand the concept in that particular teaching method. Whereas holistic education, on the other hand, helps them to keep the entire approach as a student-center one, where you get to explore different learning style of the child. Second, technology integration. With respect to traditional classroom, it's all about books, chalkboard. It's all about like what is written in the books. Whereas here you get an opportunity to use the modern education or modern technology to build or enhance your learning experience inside your school or your classroom. Third one, teaching style and assessment. As I said earlier, this is like gonna be teacher centered. So it's gonna be like very formal, like teacher centered and assessments. The questions are asked from the book and written tests are given. Whereas here, since it's student center and there is different learning style available, you try to get maximum participant from the student by encouraging them. And also you try to build certain skill, like we already mentioned, critical thinking, collaboration. And here the assessment method gonna be diverse because here we are encountering different learning style and different skill. So it must be having different assessment to understand the progress of the child. Finally, learning environment and development. Here It's teacher-centered, one-way learning. Everything has very limitation over here, and it prioritizes only academic achievements, that too marks, right? Whereas here, this helps like a lot of flexibility. It provides a lot of flexibility in your learning environment, and you encourage a lot of collaboration and active participation. It's like a very lively environment you create in your school. So this is the small on brief explanation, difference between traditional classroom and holistic education approach. Now, I'm going to launch a poll. So before moving on to like further about holistic education, I just wanted to understand this. Okay, I'll just give you an the poll is not been. I think many of you already voted. Okay, so I'll just tell what's the poll about. What aspects of your holistic education you're currently focusing on your school? I'm just going to publish the result. If anyone has not opted the poll, just put your thoughts in the Q&A box. I'm going to publish result. So many of them are taking step towards like student mental health and support, which is a great start, right? You are building their emotional in a very constructive way. And next voted would be like co-curricular activities, mindfulness, teacher training, and professionals. So I'm very happy that all of our school who are participating here are taking a lot of steps towards achieving the holistic education. If you have not opted, please put it in your Q&A box. We'll discuss that as well. Moving forward, thank you all for putting your vote. Now, let's also understand the importance of holistic education. Though many points I've already discussed, but let's go briefly about it. First, it develops the child's overall well-being, emotional, physical, mental, everything gets well developed. Second, it helps them to build 21st century skill, which is very, very essential for this era. And then their emotional intelligence also gets built, their social skills will improve, their academic performance will improve. See, at the end of the day, even if parents or teachers want the children to perform really well, that is also get improved through holistic approach, because here you are encouraging the students to like learn through their learning style and encouraging them to participate in the learning. The physical health get improved, their ethical awareness we already discussed, and you're also enabling the child to become a lifelong learner, and this will in turn all result in becoming a responsible citizen. There are so many things we are covering under holistic education. So by this much of understanding, I just wanted to understand from you, if you implement holistic education, right? We saw what are the key components. We also saw a comparison. If you implement this holistic education in your school, what are the key benefits you can get out of it? Please share your thoughts in your Q&A box. I told a lot about its importance, like ethical awareness, social skills, lot many things. So say if you're implementing in your schools, what benefits you're going to reap out of it? Just a guess, or if you have strong opinion, please share it in the Q&A box. Can be for student oriented or as a school. What do you think would be the benefit if you're using holistic approach? If you want to share your points, we are like, you can raise hands also, or you can put it in the Q&A box. Got some response. Let me check on that. Active participating in competition. Be it any competition. Thank you, Mohan sir. Like there will be a lot of active participation. Yes, that's true. Any other benefit you're gonna think that will you get out of this holistic approach? All-round development of a child. Absolutely. You are developing the child in all ways, like intellectual, emotional, physical. Great. Thank you, Vinay sir. For better self-confidence. That's very important, right? See, it would be better for if we had this opportunity when we are in the school. So it will build a lot of 21st century skills, but now self-confidence is very important. Thank you, sir. Any other thoughts? Any other point you want to discuss? Keep putting it in Q&A. We'll also discuss some points which are put in the slide. So the some of the benefits, there are like lot many benefits, but let's focus on only the key benefits over here. Some of them are your student outcome will improve, because here they are going to participate really well in the learning process, and that's gonna impact their outcome. Second, you will have a reduced behavioral issues inside a classroom. Like the behavior will be managed really well, because now they know what is the purpose and how they are learning, and they have this curiosity to learn. Third one is, since it is going to be in their style, since it's going to be having very curious and exciting one, you will see a lot of engagement among the students. And this will also impact the school culture. Most importantly, it will have a better teacher satisfaction, and you will able to retain both teachers and students in your school. Finally, at the end of all of these things, it ultimately helps you to improve or enhance your school reputation. So these are the some of the key benefits of holistic education. Now that we have seen a lot of theory about holistic education, let's understand what are the strategies you can use inside your classroom, or you can encourage your teachers to use inside the classroom, so that certain skills are get improved and we are paving a way for holistic improvement or development in the child. So for today's session, we'll be focusing on these three important skills: creativity, critical thinking, and life skills. Under each, we look at two strategy. So for creativity, we'll talk about project-based learning, creative problem solving. For critical thinking, we'll talk about inquiry-based learning, debate and discussion. For life skills, we'll talk about collaborative group work, and finally, real-life problem solving. So let's get deep dive into each one of these strategy to understand what it is and how you can implement inside your classroom. There are other inputs which I got: build self-esteem, explore the talent, ethical and moral development. All valid points. Thank you for sharing your opinion. So first one is project-based learning. So what is this project-based learning? The name itself says that it's completely student-centered teaching method, right? Where the complete learning happens through a project. It can be long-term project, or it can be related to real-world projects. So how do you use it in your classroom? So you can give certain projects about, it can be related to any subject, right? Or any concept, any topic. You can ask them to build a solution or create a product or create a presentation related to the topic given. I'll also share you an example here. So I'm going to share you two examples. One, say if you're a science teacher, you can give them, ask them to build a mini ecosystem in a bottle, right? I will talk about this in detail as well. If you are a social science teacher, you want to focus on history, you can ask them to research about Indian freedom movement, and they can look upon key events, who played major role, or they can do a small role play, or they can present in the classroom about how each role is important, what significance they made with respect to the freedom. So I'm going to discuss deep dive about this one project as an example here. So let's take student create a mini ecosystem in bottle, demonstrating how various components gonna react and sustain life. So here I'm just giving an example so that you know what all steps you have to follow, or the students have to undergo when you're trying this particular strategy. Here we are taking science as an example, but you can relate it to your own subjects. Steps which might get involved in this particular strategy would be: first, you have to introduce the project. What you're expecting from the child? You're expecting them to build a mini ecosystem. And then now they will go and research about ecosystem. So what is ecosystem? What are the components? And what are the interactions going to happen? Thirdly, they gather all the material necessary to build the ecosystem, be it soil, organism, water, plant, everything. And now they're going to design the ecosystem. They're going to, which bottle you have to choose, which plant we have to choose, what type of soil or what type of organism you're going to choose. Once they choose everything, they're going to assemble the ecosystem. So they're going to put layers of soil, add plants, organism, water, everything. Now the important step for the child would be, they will be monitoring the ecosystem. Now they're going to put it in the sunlight and observe what kind of interaction is happening, what kind of growth is happening, in what time period it is happening. And then they put on all their findings, right? So at the day 3, this happened, day 4, this happened, and this all happened. This is how organism and the soil or water interacted. And then finally, they'll present their findings to the class, and also they reflect upon their learnings. Now they'll reflect, okay, what is ecosystem? What are the important components? How they interact? How each one impact on the other to make sure they sustain a life. So this all steps they will undergo. So if you look deeply, see how, if you explain ecosystem theoretically in a traditional classroom, you're just going to draw a diagram on the blackboard and you're going to explain it, right? Students will have a knowledge about ecosystem, no doubt about it, but understanding the concept or applying the concept takes deeper level, right? So for that, if you look at each and every steps, here the child is exploring. Here the child is learning by themselves. You are giving, your interaction with them is very, very minimal. They are gathering, they are doing the research, they are monitoring, and they are presenting the findings. So this will not only make them understand the concept, but also apply the knowledge. So this is what ultimately we want from the child when they want to have a higher order thinking skills. So this is about project based learning. Let's quickly move to the next one. Creative problem solving. This is another interesting one. Here again, this is like student center, where you will allow the students or encourage the students to find different solution for one open-ended problem. So how do you do it in your classroom? You present a challenge which doesn't have one correct answer. It can have multiple correct answer. So you present the challenge and you are trying to understand what their thinking skills looks like. What are their, how their creativity is coming up through this activity. I'll show you two examples. For math, if you're a math teacher, you can try this. So you can ask a student to create a budget for a class trip. If they've already went for some trip, if they know what all steps involved, or you can guide them, these are the steps they have to like figure the budget for it, right? Now they have to come up with a budget. So this budget concept doesn't have one right answer, right? Some may come up with 10,000, some may come up with 20,000. You just have to understand how each and every children are using the creativity or problem solving to solve this particular project. So they will put certain money in transportation, they will put certain money in activities, and it's not just about budget. Here you are trying to build or connect different concepts, be it arithmetic operation, be it percentage, be it ratio and proportion, multiple concept you are trying the child to learn through this project. That's how you can design a project. Secondly, art projects. So if you have some time, you can ask the children to design a painting which represent the school value. So you have a school motto, school value, or school mission, right? Take them, ask them to build some design out of it, right? They can choose the color, theme. Look how the perspective of the child varies from each one, and this can be held as a competition as well. Next one is inquiry based learning. So let's understand what it is. So here the entire learning is led by student. How? They'll ask questions, they conduct research, they investigate the topic, they build deeper understanding about the particular topic. So how do you use it in your classroom? You can start with one simple question or one problem and ask the students to explore what are the possible solutions they can come up. Either they can do it individually or they can do it as a groups. I'll show you two examples here again. So for a science project, you can ask them, or you can ask them to experiment how different light conditions affect the growth of the child. They can do a simple experiment. So this will help them to develop a deeper understanding about the concept. Secondly, for social studies, you can ask them to research any key event happened in the community, so that they do investigation or they do analysis, they look at certain documents and they come up with their findings. Since this is an exact strategy NEP also stresses about, inquiry based learning should be encouraged inside the classroom. I'm going to quickly show you an example. What are the steps if you are implementing any of the objective we have mentioned here? What are the steps we can follow? Before that, I have a hand raised. Okay, okay, no issues. Steps the student has to undergo to make sure they are able to complete the project with respect to this particular strategy. Say you have taken an objective. There was a flood last year and you want the student to go research about the impact of that particular flood, and they can do a interview, they can analyze certain documents, whatever. Just let it be open-ended. So the steps would be, first one is introduce the topic. You tell about what you want from them. You just want to understand from them that what impact this particular flood has led to the community. Now, they will ask questions, right? They will ask the question like, what caused flood? Which are the areas affected? How did the community respond? How did the government respond? All of those things. Now, for those questions, they will do the research and they will also find those answers. So they either read news articles or they go for YouTube to understand how flood is formed, which areas are affected mostly, all of those things. And then they'll go interview the locals, the community people, to understand how the impact of the flood was for them. like what are the things affected, how they are prepared, or what are the steps they have taken to ensure there is a minimum impact. And then they also go through certain newspapers or historical documents to analyze either policy has been done or what are the emergency plan the government has taken during that time. And then now they collect all the findings, like whatever they got from interview, whatever they got from online, whatever they got from newsletter. They'll organize all these find, and then they'll create a presentation. This you can vary according to the grade level of the child. Then they put either PPT or put it as a drawing, whatever is comfortable for them, and then they'll present to the class. So here we have to look it in a different way, right? Here you are not only encouraging the child to understand the theoretical part of the flood. What is flood? What causes flood? What is the impact of the flood? You're also enabling them or giving them opportunity to connect with the community to understand how this flood has impacted different people and what step the government has taken, what are the policies or what are the plans are given, and how did we overcome this. This is something like they will be able to remember more than theoretical knowledge, right? So this is how they learn things by their own. It's like less teacher centered and more of a student centered approach. Let's go to the fourth one, debate and discussions. As the name suggests, here you're going to give certain topic or certain concept and you're asking them to sit in a group and they're going to discuss about a particular topic. Here you're encouraging them to come up their own perspective or to come up with a critical analysis of the opposite person with the logic behind it, right? Why are you saying this point? What is the reason behind you saying this particular point? You're giving them that opportunity. And how do you do that? You can take any topic from the curriculum, you can divide them into group and you can ask them to discuss about different or opposing views of the particular topic. I'll show you two examples. If you're an English teacher, right? If you have a supplementary reader, if there is any story in the English, you can take that particular story, you can divide the group and you can give each character to two of those group. Like one can talk about one character, how significant they played in this particular story, what action they took that impacted the story, or what action they could have avoided. Similarly, the other group can describe about the character given to them, or they can oppose the views of the opposite group. So here you are allowing them to think critically as well as come up with a logic or reason behind their input and opinion. Same goes for social studies, right? You can bring certain current event and then you can ask them to debate about it. Say, for example, there is an event organized by your state government. How this politically impacting the whole country? Why this event is happening here? What are the reasons behind? How the society is getting benefit out of it? Or is there any policies gonna change post this event? So this is how you build certain critical analytical thinking among the children. Now the final one skill which we are going to focus is life skill. Among that, the first method would be collaborative group work. So it's very simple. It's like you're giving particular task or a project and you're asking children to work in a team, right? So teamwork is very essential when they go, when they go past the classroom or when they go past the school. They should know how to interact with others. They should know how to agree, to disagree, or how to share their opinions in a very constructive way. It also helps them to build the communication skill and leadership skills. So how do you do it? You can give any problem or a project for the team to solve together. Here, there is no individual thing. It's going to be team effort, right? The examples are, you can ask them to particular team, like split into groups, and you can ask them to work on a poster for a community service project. Say, for example, if you think that the community is currently focusing on consumption like of water, right? How efficiently one should consume water and do not waste water. You can ask the team to come up with designs, poster, logos, slogans, anything like that, right? So this can also be help them to connect with the community and also build that sense of that I belong to this community, I own it. Next one is science experiment. So you can ask them to work in a teams and explore different ways to do water filtration experiment. Here they can use different materials, they can do the observation, they can record the data, and they can come up with the findings. The idea here is that to encourage them to work in a group and come together with a solution or a point or opinion. Final one is real life problem solving. I think this is the one of the most crucial strategy anyone and everyone should follow in the classroom. Why? Because is that I strongly feel this is the essence of the education, right? What is the purpose of the education? It should allow you to use your academical learning on the problems which we face in the real life, right? Basically helping them all the academic learnings to solve or to come up with a practical solution which they might face in the real world. This is what the education should be providing, and this is very crucial for children's. How do you do it, right? You can create a real life scenarios and encourage students to solve them. This might be very, very helpful, not just building their academic performance and certain skill, but also preparing them to the real world. Now, example, let's take environmental science project, right? You can ask them to do some plan or come up with a solution on how to minimize school, how to minimize or how to manage waste that has been produced in the school. So they can even look at what are the current practices of school following, how efficient they are, or they can come up with their own solutions which might replace. So this is not just a part of allowing them to understand the real world problem and give a solution, but also making them part of the school to take certain action and to become responsible for whatever happening inside the school. Next is math project. Say if there is any sports day coming up in your school, right? Give that opportunity to the higher class students to come up with what is the total. Say for example, you can give them a budget. The budget here is 80,000. Now we have to come up with an idea how we can allocate certain budget for everything that has to be covered for a sports event, right? Be it uniform or be it material required for the sports event, be it invitation, decoration, or inviting guests. Give them that all the option, and let's figure it out how efficiently they are trying to fit every aspects of the sports day within the budget, and what are creative things they are coming up with. Yeah, this I have, as I said earlier, just don't look at it as like a project. We are just encouraging them to develop certain skill. Here again, lot of academical concepts can be interrelated. As I said earlier, arithmetic operation, percentage, many concepts can be interrelated, and also build them the 21st century skill. Also become a responsible one to take ownership of the school and activities happening in the school. So these are the 6 strategies which we have discussed here. If anybody have any questions or any thoughts about it, you can put it in the Q&A box. So let's quickly do a small poll about what are these, what is the understanding we have for this strategy. This is your question. I'm going to launch the poll. So question here is that Mr. Rao thinks his students would benefit from analyzing historical events by defending different viewpoints and discussing key outcomes. So for this, which method he should implement? I'm going to launch the poll. So what is the strategy he can choose so that the students will develop this skill? Like here, the students get an opportunity to tell their viewpoints or defend their viewpoints, discuss the key outcome. Please choose the option you think it's right. I'm going to give like 1 minute of time for everyone to vote. So I think most of you have voted. I'm going to publish the result. As many of you said, the ideal strategy would be debate and discussion. In debate and discussion, you will encourage the students to share their viewpoints or defend their viewpoints, and also give them opportunity to even question why the other people has given this particular viewpoint. Thanks everyone. So I'm going to launch another poll. The question here is that Ms. Sita believes the students would benefit from exploring historical topics independently, forming their questions and researching the answer. So here, understand the keywords. Here, she's want them to explore topics independently, forming their questions, researching their own answer. So for that, which approach she should use? I'm just going to launch another poll. So Sita, Ms. Sita, so if she wants her children to explore topic independently, do their own research, form their own questions and answer, for that, what strategy she should use? I'll give 2 minutes of time for everyone to like pick their answers. Okay, I think most of you have voted. I'll just show you the result. So the strategy would suits the best for this particular situation would be inquiry based learning. Over here, the children inquiry and learn by themselves. So before moving on to the next one, I just like to like do a quick bit of summary and rephrase certain things. So there are 6 strategies we looked upon. So those are given here: project-based learning, critical problem solving, inquiry-based learning, debate, discussion, collaborative group work, and real-life problem solving. So the idea here is that you can use any of these strategy or combination of these strategy in your classroom, so that you're helping them not only to learn the academical concept and get a clear understanding of that particular concept, or even go to the next level of thinking, that is called application of the concept, but you're also helping them build a very crucial skills inside the classrooms, like critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, teamwork, life skills, using these small things which you can do inside the classroom. So what I'm trying to say is that here it might looks like we want to uh, build higher order thinking skill of the child, but to do that, all a teacher has to do is that take a very small step by using this strategy. Start with any one strategy which you are comfortable with, based on your grade or based on the subject you're teaching. Start with one strategy, give a very small bit of it to the students, and see how they are reacting to it. Why? Because is that most of the times we as a teacher have faced that we don't see that enthusiasm or curiosity among the child, right? Even though we try to teach them that particular concept like 10th time or 100th time, they may not be able to get it, and we might get frustrated with like what's happening around. So in that case, the thing is that children doesn't have the interest towards learning because they don't understand how these learnings gonna help them in the future. So say if in our childhood we might have thought what role this particular concept gonna play. Say for example, if there is some history you're talking of, let's take geography. We learned about cyclones, we learned about rainfall. In science, we learned about cell organism. We really didn't understand. See, I'm not going to choose as a doctor, I'm not going to choose as a geographist. Why should I learn this concept? If I'm learning, I'll learn it for a very short term, try to memorize it, like write it very neatly in the test and get marks, move on. Even the brightest students could do this, right? But if you are able to make that connection, all these concepts which they are learning in the school, 90% of them, right? I'm not saying 100, 90% of the concept they're learning inside the classroom has a lot of benefit in the future for them to apply in their life, be it like work or personal life, or in general being a responsible citizen. You have to that make that connection for them to realize this learning is a lifelong learning. It's not going to stop once I move to the next grade. It's not about marks. It's about having a clear understanding so that the perspective of the child changes. Okay, I'm learning about cyclone. It's not that for a mark, but what actually causes cyclone? So in future, if there is any cyclone threat has been given, like red alert or yellow alert or orange alert is given, now help the students to understand why this is happening, like why we have to prepare, what made the red alert to happen, what made the orange alert to happen. So I would suggest every educators in this webinar see it in this way. Do not take it as like an extra burden, but please consider this as a long-term learning. Like student, we also have to change the perspective that everything is happening inside the classroom is a long-term thing. It's not like my period is getting over at 45 minutes, then this is done. No, it's not. Or this is going to happen only in 8th grade, 9th grade, they will move on and they'll learn about different things. It doesn't work like that. Everything has a lot of foundation and all the knowledge will carry forward to the next level, not just in school but also in their college and their work as well. So see it in that perspective. It will help both you as well as the children together, help that environment built in your school. So moving forward, let's quickly look at a case study here. So knowing the advantage of this holistic approach, Adrishila school leader, right? There's one school, they wanted to implement this holistic education so that they can overall develop the child, right? Whereas they are, while thinking upon implementing holistic approach, there are certain challenges they came up with. Okay, when we try to implement, we'll know what are the challenges we'll be coming up with, right? One is that parents, their particular parents wanted to have the rote learning so that the children learn and they get marks and they get uh, like to study in a better college. That's one challenge. Second challenge is that the school leader got to know that they don't have much of fund or equipments to like initiate or to do project based, inquiry based learning in there, or even brings different specialized educators to implement life skills, 21st century skills. Finally, curriculum alignment. The school leader feels that this might take extra time, like implementing or like holistic education gonna take extra time, whereas I have lot many syllabus or curriculum to complete. So this gonna be difficult to have that alignment. Now, I'm just gonna keep it very open-ended. See, if you are a school leader, if you are a teacher, if you face these kind of challenges, what solution you think will be effective either to all these three or anything? How do you think you can change the mindset of a parents? How do you think you're going to overcome the resource constraint? How do you think you're going to align the curriculum? So let's quickly take a minute to reflect and please put down your answers in a Q&A box, or you can raise hand and share your opinions. Okay, somebody said my screen is stuck off. Is it for everyone? Or can you see my screen, case study screen? If you can see my case study screen, can send one, give it in the Q&A box. Can you see the case study screen? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everything, ma'am. Thank you, sir. So coming back to a question. So if you are that particular school leader, what steps you would take to change the mindset of its parents? See, changing mindset of parents might be very, very difficult. So let's say, what is the first step you take towards changing the mindset, or be it curriculum alignment, or how do you find the resource? Like, take a moment and please share your answers in Q&A box or raise your hand. You can even consider this as your own challenge. Like when you try to implement holistic education in your school, you might face these kind of challenges. So how do you overcome that? It can be simple step, or it can be like your thoughts, like how do you do that? Conducting awareness program. Very well said, Manju ma'am. Of course, like to change the parent mindset that rote learning is not the very beneficial one in long term, you can do an awareness program with the parents or the community to understand why holistic education is important. Thank you so much, Manju ma'am. That's a very important step a school should take. Any other points to overcome? Yes, somebody has raised your okay. All three required, ma'am. Yes, okay. So I wanted to understand from all of you, like, how do you overcome, like ma'am said, you can do awareness program, but how do you overcome this curriculum alignment or issue with respect to resources? Like you might have not enough teachers, or you might not have enough materials or technology to integrate. Resistance to change. Yes, Mohan sir, I just wanted to understand, if you have a resistance to change, if your parents are not accepting holistic approach, what do you do to convince them? I want the solutions. So here we are doing discussions and debate method. So you want to know what is the solution you would take. Okay, fine. So if you get any point in between, please feel free to put it in Q&A box. Meanwhile, I'll show you what steps, if I'm a school leader who have faced this particular situation, what I will do. Not necessarily it should be safe, but these can be some of the strategy you can do. One, like ma'am said, to make sure your parents are involved or parents are supporting a holistic education, you can have a workshop or awareness program to make them understand what are the benefits their child gonna reap out of it. Once parents understand the benefits, they're always gonna support it, because end of the day for them, the child and learning matters. Second one, if you have a huge resource constraint, what you can do is that you can partnership with your community. You can either have that local business or NGO to help you to like provide the fund there, or in your community, or even your student alumni, you can invite them and you can ask them to do some session with the students, so that they are having certain opportunity to build the critical thinking skills or inquiry based approaches being followed. Finally, curriculum alignment. You cannot change the curriculum, right? Because this is given by the government and it has to be followed. What you can do is that you and your staffs can sit together and redesign in what all topics, pick a subject for a particular grade, in what all topics, which strategy you can use to make sure that you are also teaching the curriculum along with the holistic approach. Let's take science. Science is a very beautiful subject where there is a lot of experiment and going around. So you can like pick a particular grade wise, because lower students might need a simple task as a project. So pick a grade, pick a subject, like mark it when the year starts, right? Even in the mid of the year, when the new semester gonna start, pick a topic like this all can be done under project base, this all can under be debate and discussion. So here what happens is that though theoretically it seems that it might take lot many time to complete, but it won't, because in any kind of strategy if you use, all you do is that you will not only teach one particular concept, but you will teach multiple concepts which are interrelated. Like I said, for maths, you can go for science as well. So you can teach them interrelated concept in one sitting. So that's a great beneficial for either completing the syllabus as also implementing the holistic approach. So these are some of the ways which I can take. But according to your school situation and your own challenges, you can come up with. This is just a bit of idea for you to think that you might come up with challenges, but there's always a way to figure it out. Now, the important step is that you are aware about the strategy, you are aware about the benefit, but how do I even implement it? Where should I even start this particular holistic approach in your school? Let's first see the steps, and then let's take one example and discuss. First, set clear goals, right? These are theory part. Just see the steps, and then we'll go into an example. And then once you set a clear goal, you should know whether your teachers are equipped enough to handle the strategy inside the classroom. Third one, resource allocation. You have all the resources necessary for this particular strategy to be implemented. And then with respect to your teachers, their their skills or their teaching methods, and with respect to the resources you have, which strategy you're going to choose. And then if you're choosing a particular strategy, you also should know that you should have a different assessment for this particular learning to understand the progress of the child. And then you have to involve community for sure to make sure this is happening at school level, and even parents and community are supporting it. Finally, you have to assess and adjust. If you are implementing any new thing, you should know whether that's giving any kind of benefit, how do you assess, or if you change any plans. So this keeps going on. Let's take a small example and how this looks like. Okay. So here we are going to discuss all 7 steps with respect to one example. Okay. First is, I'll just go horizontally. First is set clear goals. Before starting with anything, you should know what is the current level of your child and what skill you want to focus. Let's say for grade 9, you're doing small survey or by teacher's input, you got to know that you wanted to improve the critical thinking and collaboration skill. So you're choosing critical thinking and collaboration for grade 9. Clear? Now, second step is you have to assess the availability of resources. So now what you do, you will also look at like, okay, what materials I have? Do I have technology? Do I have online resources? Or is there any library? We have library? Do we have enough time? Do you have enough materials? Do you have any outdoor spaces for that? All types of resources, right? So for this example, say you're going to increase their critical thinking and collaboration skill by choosing a social issue project. Okay. So for that, you need to have library, you need to have online, or you can even go for like posters, whatever. See what is suitable for your school. Third, next, provide teacher training for teachers. Now you should know whether your teachers are capable enough to implement this in your school, or do you want to improve their skill. What you can do then, they can ask them to join in their Varthana teacher certification program, or you can ask them to look at any online resources, YouTube, to understand a particular strategy to enhance your teaching skills, so that at the end of the day, the learning is improved. Now, fourth step, you have to choose a strategy. Now I know where my students are standing. Now I know my teachers are undergone certain training. Now I know what resources I have. So now have to choose particular strategy. For grade 9, for collaboration and critical thinking, I'm choosing inquiry-based learning. So here the student has to choose a social issue. Here, let's take climate change, right? They have to investigate deeply and come up with a solution, and they have to do research and come up with a solution for climate change. Now, fifth important step, you have to understand. You have to build a different assessment methods. It's not something very complicated. Say, for example, in inquiry-based method, what they're going to do, they're going to research, they're going to collect data, they're going to analyze the data, and they're going to present the data. Whatever steps they're doing, observe and evaluate them. See, say you can ask them to write a small summary about understanding what is climate change and their effect. Or you can ask them to build a poster about the solutions they're doing. Or you can ask them to come up and present in front of the classroom. So through all these steps, you can see, first time when child is doing, just mark them. And when they're doing at the third time or fifth time, see what improvement they are or what progress you're seeing among each and every child. Sixth one is engaging parents and community is very, very important. So because not just parents support it, but they also understand it. So what you can do, so I'm talking about this particular example where you have chosen a social issue. So you can organize a social issue awareness fair. Here what they do, you give an opportunity for every child to present their project. It can be climate change, it can be wastewater management, whatever, right? With respect to the grade. So you will invite parents, you'll invite a key personality from the community, or you'll invite all the community to attend. So here you're not only showcasing how differently you're doing in your school, but you're also giving the opportunity for the child to showcase their talent, right? And also come up with they present their solution, which will make them to connect with the real world. Finally, continuously have to assess and adjust strategy. Simple thing, you can have a either monthly meetings with the teachers to understand how it is working for him, what are the challenges they are facing, or what adjustment we have to need, right? Or among teachers, they can have a collaboration sessions. Each teacher talk about, I did this for my class, this worked really well, whereas this particular concept is very tough. Let me change the strategy, or let me get a help from a peer. So this is a simple example of how you can take this holistic approach inside your school or inside your classroom. I'll also show you a lesson plan, how it will look like. This is a sample lesson plan. This will not be same. This is for especially teachers. You might be wondering how do I make sure creativity, critical thinking, life skills, all should come under a particular lesson plan. How do I do it? Right? You can go through this example. This will share it as a handout as well. But the idea here is that first list down the objective, right? Here your topic is sustainable living. If you take it theoretically, this gonna be really, really heavy topic for the child to understand or even to decode it, right? But you can do it with respect to holistic approach. So here, let's start with the flow. You will start to introduce what is sustainability, right? What that word means, what are the three pillars, whatever explanation you have to give. Now you will ask questions to them, right? Do they have any sustainable practice they've seen, like recycling, or there is upcycling? What is that they know about it, right? And then you will also ask them why this is important. Now they go understand the reason, do the critical thinking, come back and tell you, okay, this is why it's important. Then what you can do a small brainstorming activity. You can divide them into group and you can give a particular thing to them. One group can talk about sustainability in food industry, one group can talk about sustainability in clothing, one group can talk about sustainability in transportation. Here you need not to teach them anything. All you have to do is that ensure that as a team they are able to come up with certain things, right? Here they'll be brainstorming why it is important for food industry, what is the waste we are generating, how this can be turned down or reduced, or what are the eco-friendly methods we can do. Okay, then you can ask them to come up with 3 solutions and ask each group to present. Again, here you're not just talking about sustainability, but also ensuring that they're able to make that real world connection and solve the problem. Then you'll do a class discussion. You'll ask each one of them to present their ideas, and other group has to reflect why this idea might work, why this may not work, or they can give a constructive feedback. These are all very, very essential skills once they go back to, or once they come to that workforce. Now you can have an individual reflection and action plan. You can ask them like, okay, we understood sustainability. You guys have come up with a lot of solution. You have presented it. Now let's make sure that how are we going to practice inside our house? What is that one small step you will do to make sure you are contributing to it, right? Then you can ask your family to do it. So they'll come. So the bigger picture is sustainability at larger level. You are breaking down and coming to them for them to come up with an answer. Yes, I will do this particular practice to make sure my practices are sustainable. It can be anything, right? I'm not gonna like use I'm not gonna buy plastic bottles. I'm gonna use the you reuse the like silver bottles or whatever bottles they are using it. I'm gonna throw away plastic bottles. I'm not gonna use plastic bottles. Then you can do a conclusion. So here you can summarize everything, like what is sustainability, how it is impacting different industry, why it is important, what are the solutions the team has come up with, what one thing they can do inside their family to make sure that we are taking sustainable action. So throughout this entire thing, you can keep on observing how each and every child is participating, right? That's what your assessment is. You need not to go and do a written test as all the time. You can just look what solution one is coming up with, how the discussion looks like, what insight they're sharing, how they are presenting it, how they are reflecting it. All these are help you to assess the child's knowledge about the subject. So though sustainability seems to be very big concept or to understand, by using this particular approach, this will be very useful. So this is a lesson plan. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't share this particular. So this is the lesson plan. I'm didn't plan. You can go through it. We'll share it in the handout. Just give you a moment to all of you to go through it. So I talked about introduction, group activity, class discussion, reflection, and takeaways. Take a moment to go through it. I'll come back to the slide. Now, we are at the end of the session. We'll do a quick summary. So today we understood what is holistic education. It nurtures the whole child, like both their well-being and academic performance are enhanced. Secondly, it helps you to integrate creativity, critical thinking, and life skill with the academics, so that not only they have a lot of learning, but they'll be having engaging environment as well. Third one, so if you want to successfully implement, you need to have a clear goal. What you want to achieve class-wise, what support the teacher must be having, and how you're going to evaluate the progress. So these are the three key points of this today's sessions. Now let's move on to the like academic solution. So we have partnered with LEAD. So LEAD is a school which helps you to integrate innovative tech-based learning solutions. It also helps you to develop curriculum, teaching methods, and it also helps you to like get books and have a better learning outcome. This also focus on English and coding skill for the child. And second one is KAN. So KAN is a multimedia computer with a data projector. So this helps you to have a very engaging and stimulating learning experience inside your classroom. So if you would like to know about any of this, please reach out to our customer care number or write it at hello@varthana.com. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar.